What's up, everybody? It's your boy Season. So I'm finally back from my surgery and I went on vacation as well. So today we're going to be taking a look at the Metal Build Justice Gundam. Now this was a fan poll that I did roughly about a month ago. I put it in the community tab asking what the next review would be, and this one went out. So we're going to be taking a look at this today. Let's not waste any more time. Let's go. So let's take a look at this manual. Now, while my hand fully heals, I'll probably be doing the Michael Jackson one glove thing. So, but I don't think you'll see it for too long. So let's take a look at this manual. So this one has been on display for me for quite some time. We've got the parts count there. This was a regular release. I don't think this was a Bandai release at all. So we've got the Metal Build accordion style there. So he's been out for a couple of years. Now, people have asked if we're going to get the Infinite Justice or the Type 2 that was in Gundam SEED Freedom. I don't know, because I don't know how popular this suit is. I mean, I'm sure that its popularity is okay, but as far as the sales numbers, I don't hear too many people talking about the Justices like I do the Freedom. So I don't know if we'll ever get those, but so far this is the only Justice that we have. So that's what we've got for the manual. So now we'll take a look at the Justice itself. So let's take a look at this detail on this Justice. So as you can see, he's pretty much a hot pink. It's like a hot pink and a purple, kind of. So that's how I would describe it off of first glance. So he's also relatively on the thin side too, without his backpack. So you've got a lot of good metal detail in here with the gold accents here and here. He's got very sharp feet. All right, so of course we're kind of used to seeing that on the metal builds, but he's got a nice look. He's got a unique look too, with not having the two vents for the Gundam face, and he's kind of got like this big old thing here. Now, of course, in Gundam SEED Freedom, he uses that as a beam saber as well, and that's kind of a evolution of the Infinite Justice, but he's got these two shoulder parts here. So he looks really, really good. If you are a fan of the Justice, I have always been kind of mediocre on the Justice. I think that it's the best of the Atherin mobile suits as far as his look outside of the Savior. I think the Savior is probably my favorite one for Atherin, but I think overall this one looks good. He's a little thin, I must admit, but he's kind of like a sister suit, or a brother suit, I guess, for the Freedom. You know, Freedom and Justice, it kind of goes hand in hand, you know? So he does look good there. And I think if you are a fan of Gundam SEED, especially with this being the only Justice that you can get, this probably will be worth getting just on first glance. But he does have a lot of good detail in here, gold accents here. He's got the decal, some of the decal work here, but he doesn't have a ton of decals. He's got some there, he's got some here on the bottom here. And that's really about it for decals. Most of it is just kind of like metal style work, you know, for the thrusters here, for the midsection there, and you've got the two beam sabers on the sides there. So he does look really, really solid. If you are a fan of the Justice, I can't see you not liking this. So now what we'll do is we'll take a look at his accessories next. So let's take a look at the Justice's accessories. So first we have the Justice stand. This is the typical stand that we get for metal builds. It does have like that magenta / hot pink version. If you're looking at a color, think of like a Hot Rod from Transformers, the movie. It's kind of in that same color palette, but you do have that. It's got the ZGMF X09A Nove Justice Gundam piloted by Atherin Zala. So you do have the stand, and here you have the Justice stand. So this is pretty much a color swap of the Freedom's stand. So it has the exact same style there, but you do have this here, and this will move up and down there. So it does look nice, but that's what you have for the stand. And then you have the Justice Beam rifle here. So this is a color swap of the Freedom one as well. So you're gonna find that a lot of these tend to be the same, but you do have that. You can move this in and out there, but it does look nice. You do have a lot of good detail in here with the gold accents here with that hot pink / magenta color there. You do have a little bit of decal work in here. You've got some gunmetal gray here and on the tip. So it does look very, very nice as far as its detail is concerned. And then he gets two sets of his beam sabers. Now he's got the individual ones on his hips there, but this is the dual one. So you can put those together, but you can also just use this dual one that they give you, and then you can use the beam sabers that they give you. You get 2 of these, so you can put those in there and there. It does have the classic SEED sparkles that you see a lot in here, and it starts to fade as you go towards the tip there. But you do have those, so that's what you have for the beam sabers. And then you get 2 of these effect parts. These are, I think, for his shoulder blades. I'm pretty sure that you can pull those out. Now, I haven't messed with the Justice in a while, but we'll kind of go through that here as we go through the review. But you do get 2 of these. In classic Metal Build style, he does get 5 sets of hands. So you've got the typical wide open hands here. Let's see if I can get that to focus there. So you get the wide open hands there. You get the trigger finger hands here. So we've seen these pretty regularly throughout most Metal Builds. And then you do get beam saber hands as well. So you get the regular beam saber hands here. All right, let's see if we get that to focus there. So you get the regular ones there, and then you get another set that has like the slanted wrist here. So if you look, let's see. If you look there, you see how that is slightly slanted at the wrist, just to give you a little bit more articulation there on the wrist. So you do get that set as well. And then lastly, this is his backpack. Now, the Justice's backpack is quite big, and you can expand the wings out. So those have a pretty wide wingspan, as you see there. He can also stand on this as well. So it's kind of like a standing flying unit there. So you've got that, which you got the gold accents here on the thrusters here and here. And then you've got some more gold accents here and here. So you've got those there, those fold in and out. You do have his guns here at the top here. So you've got those there, and then you've got the connection piece here. And it's not very heavy, and I would expect this to be light, especially considering how big this is. But I would say the only backpack in the SEED universe that's probably bigger than this one is probably the Providence's, and maybe like the Legend, I guess. But you do have that, but you got a lot of good detail work in here. So even though there's not a ton of decals like we're used to seeing, but since this is an older release, I'm not really that surprised. But that's what you have for the backpack. So let's take a look at the Justice's articulation real quick. So for the head, he can look up, he can look down. All right, you can actually get that further. He can look way down just like that. You got side to side. He's got a rocking neck thing here. You see that a lot in the SEED Metal Builds, kind of like the Destiny and the Freedom and the Strike Freedom. So you do get a lot of movement here. Let's see if he can do 360. Looks like yes, no problem. So it looks very, very good for the head. For the shoulder, he can raise that way up there like that. So that's very, very good there. He also has this part that will come open, so that'll give you a little bit more articulation there for the shoulder. You see that a lot with the SEED kits as well. Can he do 360? Let's see. Looks like he can with no problem there. Let's see about his rotation for his bicep. You can lift that up there. And actually, let's lift that up so we can see here. And then let's see if we can spin this 360. That's very, very tight. I would say no. Looks like it's about 90 degrees. So that's all you're gonna get there. And let's see if we can do it the other way. You got about 180 there. Let's see if I can get it even further here. There you go, 360, just like that. So you can get 360, but it does get a little tight when I go clockwise. So let me see if I can do that again. Let's lift this up again. And then let's see if I can spin that, because that's giving me a lot of resistance right at the 90-degree angle. But you can do it 360. So that's what you have for the bicep. For the elbow, let's see if what we've got here. So you've got a really good elbow bend there. So you've got a double hinge here and here. So really good for the elbow. No twist on the forearm. So let's move to the wrist here. So for the wrist, he does have an up there, down here, but it's really coming from this back piece right here. So it's not really the wrist itself. You're not really getting that much out of the wrist there, but can you move it in and out? Not really. So there's not a ton of movement. You got a little bit of up and down. That's about it on the wrist. For the chest, let's see what we can do. So he will look down like that, and he look up. He will look up. Not too far though, and that's probably just due to the fact that he's got a really big backpack, so they probably don't want this to be that loose. It's got side to side. He's got a little bit here and there. Not a ton though. I mean, I'm used to seeing a lot more, but they probably want this stiff just for his backpack, since his backpack is so big. Can he spin 360? Let's look and see. So it's 90, 180, 270, 360. As I keep, his back thruster keeps coming off when I want to move it there. So that's what you have for the midsection. Also the back thrusters here, they're just these little pieces here. So of course, when I'm grabbing it, those want to come off, but you can just plug those back in that way as it falls out again. Let's see. You put it back in there. There we go. Just like that. So you can take those two back thrusters off there. For the waist, These will move independently of each other. They will move in and out as well. So you do get some articulation there and there. So you can move those. For the side skirts, these are relatively long, kind of like the Destinies. So, but you can move those in and out. In order to get the beam sabers out, you can pull that down as well and then just pull the beam saber out. So you do get that. Will it rock back and forth? Yes, it will. So you can move those up and down. So you got a lot of good movement there for the side skirts. And then for the back skirt, this will move up and down, but it's one solid piece here. So that's what you've got for the waist. For the legs, let's see what we've got here. So let's move this up, let's move that out. Can you spin it? Yes, you can, but that's very, very tight there. So you've got about 90 degrees there. Could you do 180 or 360? Maybe, but as you see, look at how that's kind of rubbing off that paint there. So I don't like that very much. And I've said this in the past, but generally speaking, when it comes to my metal builds, all I do is I pose them and then they just kind of sit there. So most of them are still stiff, even though I've had them for years, just because I don't mess with them all that much. So I consider these more like display pieces, but you do have, you can get almost 180, but as you can see, you see all of that residue, and that's from the plastic. So that's moving on that. So I don't know if that's actually meant to do that, but you want to be careful when you're messing with the top of the thighs. Now let's lift this guy up and see how far we can get him. So, ooh, he's up there now. So I would say, what, that's probably about 130, 125, 130, somewhere up there. So he's got a really high knee there. And then let's bend the knees, see how good we can get there. So we do have a decent sharp V, doesn't go in or anything like that, but it is hitting this bottom plastic here of his calf there. So that's what you've got for the knees. And then for the feet, it will move up, but it's pretty much this whole piece there. So as you see, this is all one piece here, but you can go up. It will move down slightly. There's no side to side, not with the foot, it's more with the ankle part here. You can take this part off as well. You got this little connection piece there. So, and you can move it that way. So you can kind of see where that joint is with the ankle. So even though you can't really move it up or down all that much, you do have a little bit of wiggle room, but I just think it has to do with the amount of plastic that is there. So it's okay on the feet. I haven't had a problem with it standing or anything. It seems pretty good there. Nothing on the back part either, but it's relatively stiff. So that's what you've got for the feet. So that's what we've got for articulation for the Justice. Now, considering how old this guy is, it does have a little bit of limitations, but I think that has to do with being able to support the backpack, mainly with the midsection there. There's not that much articulation in the feet, and then there's none almost with the wrist. So those are my critiques of the articulation for the Justice, but I think overall it's still good. I just would say that especially in the more current metal builds, you do get way more articulation than this. But I did like the front skirt articulation there, and also the side skirts considering how long they are, because even with the Destiny, you don't get that much articulation for the sides, you know, so I do like that as well. But next, what we'll do is we'll put his backpack on him and see what he looks like all together. So here we have the Justice with his backpack on. I am surprised that he can stand with this big old backpack on. Once you kind of mess with the midsection, kind of get him to lean a little forward just in the midsection itself. I haven't had trouble with him standing since then. His feet seem to carry the load as well, so I think that that is really good. Of course, you've got the shield here with the beam sabers, and so it looks spectacular with this on. I would say that the only one that I can think of that's bigger than this one, in the SEED universe anyway, is probably the Providence. So overall, the backpack looks really, really good. Now, the one thing that you can do with this backpack is you can extend it. So you can take that, pull that out. That's how he'll be able to stand. You have to put the adapter pieces on his feet here and here. So you do get that. These do move in and out, and then this will pull out as well. So you've got those two. So you can move those, and then you can do quite a bit with the wings. So the backpack pretty much is the main attraction, but I do like how this works. So you can do that. You can also lift this up, and then you can have the thrusters. Now, I haven't been able to pull the thrusters out. It looks like you can just kind of clear them. So, but you do have a little bit of room in there for the thrusters. So overall, I think that the backpack is very, very good. The fact that he can stand on his own. Now, I will admit that he is still a little wobbly. You know, with this much weight on the backpack, it's gonna be hard for him to stand up, but he can do it. You just have to kind of finagle the midsection a little bit as we get those back together there. So he does look solid. And then also what we've got is we've got this part here. So for his shoulder blades, you can actually take this out and then you can pull this off here. And then you can spread these out and you can use these as like his boomerangs or his mini beam sabers there. And you would just stick those in there like that. So that looks pretty awesome. So he can do that as well. So I would say that the backpack is quite versatile. And then let's put this back in here if I can. And put that in there. But yeah, I would probably still say put him on a stand just because that the weight of the backpack is significant. So, and I have had him fall a couple of times. I know I said in the video that he hadn't fallen, but that was before I cut away from it. So I think overall, this is really, really nice. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna put him on his backpack and we'll do that next. So here we have the Justice Gundam on top of his backpack. Now, I will say that this is a little wobbly. It was hard to get the feet planted in there. He has these two adapter pieces for the bottom of his feet. And to be honest, I just don't think that it's good to hold all of this kind of weight. I've had it fall off probably about 2 or 3 times trying to get him up here. I found that the best part to do, because you attach him to the feet, then you put him on here. But I found that the best way to do it is to actually take the adapter piece off, put it where it needs to be on the backpack, and then plant him on there. And it seems like it wants to stay then. But really what's doing the bulk of this lifting is this back piece here. So this back piece here, it's connected to the back there, and this is holding a bunch of this weight. But to be honest, it's still a little wobbly. So, so I don't know if I would keep him up here. I mean, it does look good, I will give it that, but I don't know. Because even with the wings expanded out the way that I have them, like that. So let's go down here so you can just see how wide that wingspan is. And you can see it's kind of leaning to the left. Now, you do have an adapter that you can actually have it extreme left, extreme right. This is actually in the middle, and it's still kind of leaning to the right, to where if I showed you the extreme right, it would literally be like this, and it would almost topple over. So it's pretty interesting how they did this. And now, you know, when you look at this, let's see if I can lift this up here so you can see, but there are 3 notches. So it's in the middle notch here, and then you have the 2 notches on the side. So you can actually make this bank almost like at this angle. So it's quite interesting. I don't know if I'm gonna try it with him on here, but I guess, hey, why not? So what you would do is pull this out, and then you would slide this over, and then kind of, let's see if I can do this. And I think I still got it in the middle. Yep, I do. Let's see. There we go. So you see how you see how crazy that bank is right there. And when I tried this last time, he did fall off. So that's a lot of weight that it's holding at that angle. So I don't know if I would consider that safe. So looks good. I just don't know if it's practical. If you look, he's wanting to topple over of this rotating base. You see? So he's actually gonna fall over if I don't keep my hands here. So I would probably say the safest bet is to keep it in the center. So let's see if I can take this off again. Let's go. All right. And then kind of put that back in the center there. I'm trying to do this behind a camera too, so that's not helping, but let me see if I can see it here. There we go. So he's back to the center. He does have a small stand for this hover mode. But yeah, and as you can see, even though that's in the center, he's definitely leaning to the right, and that's just because of all this weight. So I don't know if I would keep it like this long term. I think that there's just too much weight. This thing would fall off. So looks great for posing in pictures and stuff. And then also with the fact that his feet are planted, you're kind of limited as far as what you can do from an articulation standpoint as far as posing and stuff. So he's kind of just cemented in there and there's not really much that you can do. Could you take this off and let the back piece support most of the weight? You probably could, but I don't think that that would be wise. I think you need both of them together because you can kind of tell how heavy this is without it. But I think overall it does look good though, so I will give it that. So now that we've gone over his hovering backpack, now we're gonna get into final thoughts. So last thoughts on this guy, this is definitely a blast from the past for me. This Metal Build Justice Gundam has been on my display for quite some time. And I really don't get a chance to mess with them all that much just due to the fact of space. Since I have so many metal builds, I can't really dynamic pose them the way that I like. But going back to this guy is interesting because pretty much his backpack is the main attraction. The fact that he can stand on it, that it can extend, it really does have quite a bit of functions. Now, I didn't go over the different adapters that it has for the backpack, but pretty much whether you want them up on his shoulders, if you want them just hanging in the back like it is here, or if you want him standing on it, he can pretty much do all of that. And I think that that is a really good thing that Bandai did here. The design work on this one is pretty good. I do like the detail. I would say that it kind of lacks decals though. I would expect to see more decals on it because really only got about 2 or 3 of them. That's really about it. So, but I think overall, I would say the only thing that I don't like, his lack of articulation in certain areas, not in all areas. His articulation overall is good, but I would say that his articulation in some areas is a little lacking, but it's not that he can't do anything. So it's not like he's a brick or anything like that. He clearly can do a lot of dynamic posing. I think it just has to do with the fact that his backpack is so big, trying to get the head to maneuver around and things of that nature can be a little bit cumbersome. But I think overall, this is a solid mobile suit if you are a fan of Gundam SEED or Atherin Zala or just the Justice in general. I prefer the Justice over the Infinite Justice. I just think that it looks more, I don't know. To me, I just like how this one looks compared to the Infinite Justice. I think they kind of overdid it with the beam sabers for the Infinite Justice and the Infinite Justice Type 2. And I think this one has the right amount of beam sabers. He's not going crazy with beam sabers all over his, his head and his ankles and stuff like that. He doesn't really have that. Now, as far as Atherin Zala mobile suits, this is probably my second favorite. I would say that the Savior, for me personally, is my favorite of all the Atherin mobile suits. To me, I just like that one, even though I would say he didn't pilot that one that well, especially if you've seen Gundam Seed Destiny. But I think overall, I think they did a really good job on this metal build. So, out of 10, I'm probably gonna give this guy a solid 9. I think that he's up there if you're a fan of Gundam Seed, if you're a fan of Atherin Zala, the pilot. I think that you'll like this, but to me, it doesn't really have a lot of accessories or anything. It has pretty much his basic armament, and that's about it. So he's not really doing anything special when it comes to accessories or anything like that. But the main attraction here is the backpack and the versatility of it. So I think that overall, Bandai was successful in doing that. So that's what I've got for you today. Thank you guys for watching the video. Thank you guys for waiting, as I did just have surgery on my hand and I did go on vacation for about a week. So I knew that this was going to take some time to get out. I actually tried to get this done before all of that stuff happened, but it just didn't work out because I was kind of putting the finishing touches on the Mazinger Zero review. So going forward, we've got quite a few Super Robots and Transformer stuff coming out. So I'll be doing reviews on that for the most part. But thank you guys for watching the video. If you guys could like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, I would appreciate it. Send this one out to all of the Metal Build or Gundam fans, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.